back, America. I'm Hugh. Byron York is a Fox News contributor, Washington Examiner columnist, and a frequent guest on the Hugh Hewitt Show. Byron, I want to drop a theory on you. You know how there's COVID and it's real and it killed millions of people. There's also long COVID and it's real and it's debilitated at least hundreds of thousands and maybe millions of people. I want to argue that TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, is real. Some people have gotten over it, recovered. Some people are out of the game because of it. But there's also long TDS. That means it still impacts people and debilitates them. Do you think that's real?
For a moment, I didn't know where you were going, and I thought that's actually a fantastic analogy, because what we have seen is a lot of people, and this is in the journalism business, the communications industry, who seem to have gotten over their cases of TDS, which were pretty intense from 2017 to 2021, and yet there's some who haven't. So I think you actually make a good point. And I just want to say one thing completely unrelated to this. When I jumped on, I had been watching Trump's news conference. He signed a couple of executive orders today, and then had the press. This is in the Oval Office around the desk. And I looked up pictures of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. There are pictures of him sitting behind the desk with the press, all in a circle around the desk, and it looks like exactly the same. The accessibility that Donald Trump is offering to the press, and by extension, the people, is just absolutely amazing. And I don't think we say enough about it. One of the reasons the new spokeswoman, Carolyn Levitt, has done a good job, but one of the reasons her job isn't that big is because the president himself is speaking every single day, and we know what's coming out of his mouth, and we don't have to worry about a spokesman or
Byron,
anybody else.
You're so right. You're so right. He's just so accessible. He makes my job so much easier, your job so much easier. But today he made me happy. Cue the happy heart music, if you will, Adam, because I want Byron to hear how happy. I don't use this often, Byron York. I only use my happy heart music when I'm really excited about something. Hit it. Up. Can't find it. It's my You're not old enough to remember Andy Williams, but he used to sing Happy Heart. And here's what made me sing my happy heart music. Cut number 20.
The real question is, how much of a kickback has there been? And one of the things I want to investigate rapidly, because I've never seen anything to this extent, the train that's being built between Los Angeles and San Francisco is the worst managed project I think I've ever seen, and I've seen some of the worst. Billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars over budget. In fact, I read where you could take every single person that was going to go on the train and get the finest limousine service in the world and take them back and forth with limousines, and you'd have hundreds of billions of dollars left over. It is the worst thing, and we're going to start an investigation in that because it's not possible. I built for a living, and I built on time, on budget. It's impossible that something could cost that much. And now it's not even going to San Francisco, and it's not going to Los Angeles. They made it much shorter. So now,
Byron, I've been complaining about our Stonehenge in the Central Valley for 10 years, and the president finally put his finger on it. That's communication.
It was an incredible moment, actually. I didn't really see that one coming. But I mean, you're right. I mean, the amount of money spent has just been staggering, and now it goes somewhere into Central California, right?
Yeah, it's up in Modesto, and it's not working, and they'll never finish it. It's Stonehenge. If climate change is real and the species is extinct, aliens are going to find that in 1,000 millennia from now and say, what were they doing?
Actually, with Stonehenge, you kind of wonder, man, that's amazing. How did they get those big rocks up like that? They must have had more technology maybe than I understood. With this, it's just a complete disaster. Very good of Trump to do that. Obviously, it reflects badly on Gavin Newsom, but it's not, just...
Oh, and Jerry Brown started this, Byron. Gavin, to his credit, actually cut the top and bottom off of it and said, we're not doing that in L.A. and San Francisco. It'll never work. And they can't even build it because of vernal pool shrimp up there. Let me move on to the serious part. That was serious, but I mean, he reinstituted maximum pressure on Iran today. I had Aviv Reddy Gur on before the show, and I'll play more of it next hour. He said, please just push on Iran. You don't have to bomb them. They'll collapse. And that's basically what Trump did today.
Well, this is what worked before, right?
Yes.
I mean, in the first Trump administration, the idea was not to go bomb Iran, not to go to war with Iran, but to starve Iran of its money, specifically its oil revenues, so that they would not have all this money with which to make mischief and worse with its proxies in the Middle East. And it worked. And amazingly enough, the Biden administration comes in, opens the money spigot back up, and within a couple of years, Iran is doing terrible things with all of its money through its proxies in the Middle East. So it makes all the sense in the world to go back to it.
Do you think, I listened to the commentary pod today, and John Podhoretz made this statement that Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, lied. Tony Blinken lied. Kamala Harris lied. Joe Biden lied. They were holding up weapons to Israel, and Trump has unleashed the pipeline again. Do you think John is correct?
Yeah, I do think that they were. There's no doubt that they were holding up weapons to Israel. And, you know, the thing is that, as far as I can tell, and I'm not an expert on this, but no matter what the Biden White House said, Netanyahu was going to do what he was going to do because he felt he had to do it. I kind of feel that way about the Trump White House, too. He's got a lot of support now with the Trump White House. But it almost doesn't matter. He's going to do what he's got to do.
And so what do you expect to come out of the Netanyahu-Trump meeting? We have a minute to the break. I'd like to take you through the break.
Well, you know, it was interesting. Trump was talking about this at the desk in the Oval Office. And you know, he stressed the utter destruction in Gaza. He said, well, you know, what in the world is going to happen there? There's the money to sort of rebuild it, but what's going to happen? And he expressed interest in having some countries accept Palestinian refugees who don't go back to the moonscape of Gaza now. So I think Trump is actually trying to see past what's going
Pause
on.
there, Byron, because I got to tell you what Noah Rothman said earlier today. I'm back with Byron York. Byron, in January, I asked President Trump what he thought about Gaza, and he said it should be a beautiful jewel on the Mediterranean. It's got the best land in the world, and of course, it's destroyed. He's thinking like a developer. So I say to Noah Rothman, he's thinking like a developer. Noah says that's the problem. It's not development, it's national security. But Haviv Reddy-Gur said, I like the fact that Trump is simple. Not stupid, not ignorant, simple, meaning, look at this. What are we going to do with this? There's a simple problem to be solved. Do you? Yeah. And I know Egypt and Jordan want nothing to do with the Gazans because of the Hamas problem. But isn't it right for the president to raise that issue?
It's absolutely right. Look, I mean, the Israelis obviously, some people think that they went too far, even with the awfulness of the attack on them. Some people think they overdid the retaliation. Clearly, large parts of Gaza are just completely flattened. They're unfit for human habitation, and they will not be fit for human habitation for a long time. So what are you going to do about that? And I think thinking about that in practical terms, and Trump is an extremely practical man. He thinks in terms, you know, he reads. He's an excellent reader of journalism, for example, but he really gets into maps and spatial representations of how things work and like where are these people going to go? Could they go here? Could they go there? This is something that Trump's thinking of, and I think it's a good thing.
Well, I discussed with Haviv that when the president dropped the pen on the Resolute desk and said the pen is Israel, the desk is the Middle East, he probably educated more Americans about the Middle East than any prior president. And Haviv agreed. He thought it was very satisfying from an Israeli point of view. We got a minute to coming back online, so take 30 seconds of that, Byron. What do you think of the pen on the desk?
I thought it was a dramatic moment, actually. And I mean, can you obviously you think about Joe Biden, you think that would never happen. But I can't remember that happening sort of with any president who represented something so graphically and so simply for people to understand.
Yeah, I'm coming back with Byron because I have to ask him about Elon Musk and Doge and the hysteria. Musk hysteria is going to replace Trump derangement syndrome as Musk hysteria syndrome. Stand by. Welcome back, America. Byron York is with me for 3 more minutes. Byron, Churchill had the professor. FDR had Harry Hopkins. Kennedy had Ben Bradley and Len. Presidents have friends, and sometimes they become special government employees, and they do big things like Harry Hopkins for FDR. No job, no duty, living at the White House. I don't want Musk living at the White House. I'm not upset about Musk at all. Are you?
In the past 48 hours, the president has taken a couple of opportunities to make sure that everybody understands that he, the president, is the boss here, and that Elon has a lot of good ideas, but the bad ideas they're not going to go forward with, and that he's keeping control over what Musk is doing. And I think that's a very important message to send. You've got this smart group of sort of supercomputer geniuses going through all of this and finding a lot of indefensible spending, which, by the way, is very, very similar. We've had reports for many, many years from members of Congress about some crazy thing that the United States government is spending money on. So when you have the LGBTQ plus comic book in Peru, that fits exactly sort of into that template that we've seen. So Musk is presenting a lot of stuff that the U.S. government should not spend money on. And also, he's cracking through this ridiculous idea that USAID is a, quote, independent agency, as if it's somehow like a fourth branch of government. So that's all very good, but at the same time, it's good that Trump sends the message that Trump, is in charge of this.
Now, Andy McCarthy was on just before you, and we were talking about the president is pushing the limits of his Article 2 authority. And there's the Budget Impoundment Act of 1974. There's the Civil Service Act of 1978. There's the Inspector General's Act. They've never been tested. And Andy is of the opinion, and I concur, that Trump's going to test them, and we'll all be better off if we find out who he can fire. What say you?
I think you're absolutely right. And I mean, one of the reasons he's doing this way is, when Elise Stefanik leaves, the balance of parties in the House will be 217 Republicans and 215 Democrats. That is, Republicans cannot lose a single vote to pass something on a party
until
line
April 1st. I believe that the two specials
until April
in
1st,
Florida.
you have the election in Florida.
Yeah.
But still, that's an extraordinary situation. So Trump is pressing the limits of executive authority in part because it's virtually impossible to do anything through the House of Representatives right now.
I think you're right. Byron York usually is. Thank you, Byron. Watch him on Fox News.
Hugh.
Read him at the Washington Examiner. Follow him on X at Byron York.